What's going on, everyone? So the Sacramento Kings and De'Aaron Fox situation is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. De'Aaron Fox could be playing his last season with the Sacramento Kings. I do believe if he qualifies for that supermax, I do believe he'll stay. I think he'll get the money, right? It's kind of the thing, like get the money and then figure it out later, request the trade later. So I don't see him turning down the money if he gets that. However, if he doesn't get that and he doesn't qualify for the supermax, I do think he'll be looked to get out of Sacramento come the offseason. The Sacramento Kings are kind of stuck. They're in a terrible position. They were a team that had a clear path. It is so frustrating watching some of these teams just self-sabotage themselves. It's wild, right? The last thing they needed was DeMar DeRozan, especially at, $23 million or whatever they're paying him. It was ridiculous. You were a young, talented team that was headed down a clear path, right? You go get two quality 3-and-D wings, get some like real depth, upgrade like a Harrison Barnes or something like that. You're there, right? Like, I think that now they're a contending level team. But instead, you went and got an isolation half-court player who doesn't provide pace, doesn't shoot threes, yet Sacramento every year is in the top of the list as far as like pace goes, transition, three-point attempts, and you got the polar opposite of what you need. I understand that there was this panic that set in because Malik Monk got hurt and your offense was terrible, but again, like how often are you planning on Malik Monk to get hurt? So you made a just haste decision thinking like, oh, we need the firepower to contend with the West. What firepower? You just needed to stay the course and find the right pieces, and now it's probably going to cost you De'Aaron Fox. It is wild to me. Wild. Because, like, Sacramento, again, I thought that they were a very good team that was on the right path, and they blew it. And it could end up being the San Antonio Spurs benefit, right? I think if De'Aaron Fox does want to leave a team such as the Sacramento Kings, I think he should go to the Spurs. Him and Victor Wembanyama would be ridiculous. Question is, like, what would the Spurs have to give up? But they have more than enough to go get a De'Aaron Fox. They have the assets, they have the players, they have everything, right? You're probably going to have to lose Stephon Castle, but you're basically getting Castle grown up from the gate, right? Versatile guard that can shoot, make plays, do everything. Wemby is so cheap, too, that you could go get De'Aaron Fox and then go get another piece. Go get another star. Go do something to where now you're a contender, right? I mean, Wemby and De'Aaron Fox as like that two-man game would be ridiculous. You have the point of attack, all-star caliber guard, and De'Aaron Fox. He's still young enough to where you're going to be good for a few years. I've seen people throw out the concerns like, yeah, but De'Aaron Fox, he's only gonna last so long because of his type of skill set, right? He's very reliant on his athleticism, but he's got a good 5-6 years, right? Like, if you can win a championship or two in the next like 3, like before Wemby starts being like expensive, why wouldn't you want to do that? Right, like if you could turn De'Aaron Fox and be a legit contender for the next 6 years, like you could still keep Chris Paul and have him in like a backup role, right? I mean, I don't hate it at all. Maybe even look to go get like a Brandon Ingram or something like that. Imagine like you had like De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Brandon Ingram, Jeremy Sohan, and Victor Wembanyama with like Chris Paul and Champagnie, guys off the bench, right? Like you're really good. You're in a really good position. I think you're, at that point, I think you may end up being a contender. You up there, right? Maybe you need a piece or two, right? But like, I don't know. I don't hate the idea. I think De'Aaron Fox, 1, should want to go to the Spurs. I think 2, the Spurs should want De'Aaron Fox. Obviously, look, if you keep a Castle, great, but you're going to have to give up something. Or you're going to have to give up something, right? Like, probably Keldon Johnson. You're probably going to have to give up, like I said, Stephon Castle. Probably throwing in, a couple firsts, but again, you got a 27-year-old all-star caliber point guard that would just fit seamlessly alongside Victor Wembanyama. You get a guy that, is a 27-6-6 guy or 27-5-5 guy. You're good. You got your point guard, you got your center. Everything else you're just trying to figure out at that point. right? Is Devin Vassell really the guy that you need to, long term, or do you look to go get maybe a more complementary piece, or can Champagne fill in the 3 role, or do you look to go, like I mentioned, a Brandon Ingram or something like that? Go get that guy like that. You still have options, you have flexibility. Again, Wemby being so cheap, I do think that you don't want to do a hasty decision. I don't want to see them go trade for Zach LaVine or something like that, right? Like, stay the course. Stay diligent, right? Like, be patient and find the right move. But if the right move is there, and you can start pushing some of your chips in to go win a championship, or at least be a top contender, for the next 10 years, why wouldn't you do that? I think De'Aaron Fox is one of those guys. I think it makes sense for all parties involved. Right, and now you got basically your 2 all-stars that you're building around. And De'Aaron Fox, I know, actually not an all-star, but he's an all-star caliber guard, right? He's an excellent player. If he was anywhere else but Sacramento, he probably would be an all-star, right? It's Sacramento, right? So to me, I look at it and I go, what? Because one, how many teams need a point guard, right? De'Aaron Fox is going to have a market. Don't get me wrong, but he's not going to have this, not every team in the league is going to be looking to sign up to go get DeMar DeRozan or De'Aaron Fox, right? Most teams already have their guard, and you need, look at all the guards in the West, from, Jamal Murray to SGA to, Ja Morant, right? You just go down the list of all the top teams. They all have a top guard, right? Even Dallas with Luka and Kyrie and stuff like that, right? You need that to compete. You need that all-star caliber guard, or just insane, Giannis or whatever. You could, if I'm not mistaken, you could technically go get Giannis and De'Aaron Fox. Because again, Wemby's so cheap, right? I don't know, shooting-wise, I don't know how great that is. Because De'Aaron Fox isn't this lights-out three-point shooter. He can hit them, but he's not a guy that you're oh man, you want him taking a bunch of threes. But he's also one of the best closers in the game every year. He's one of the best fourth quarter scorers in the game every year. Right? You get basically, you automatically expedite your process. Right? And it's a fit that makes sense. It's a player that makes sense. My usual argument is this guy does, again, sticking with Sacramento, DeMar didn't make sense. If they could have gotten a Brandon Ingram or an OG Anunoby or something like that makes sense. You get some 3-and-D wing, although Brandon Ingram, I still have some concerns, but at least that gives you some size, gives you some athleticism, gives you a guy that can, operate and take some pressure off, right? Kind of gives you a better version of DeMar, right? But at least you still maintain the size and the length and the versatility out there and just better 3-point shooting and stuff, right? They needed to really go get those versatile wings. And I understand that everyone needs that, everyone wants that, but they have players, they have pieces. Even if you had to trade Keegan Murray, I know Sacramento fans might not be big on that, but if you win a championship or you're in the finals, something like that, you're really going to be but we shouldn't have traded Keegan Murray. No, again, it depends on what you're getting, but Sacramento decided to just sabotage themselves, put themselves in the worst position possible. Okay, well, let the Spurs gain that opportunity. Right? I don't think De'Aaron Fox is going to stay around. I don't. Right? He's probably out. Unless he gets the supermax. If he qualifies for the supermax, which means he has to make an all-NBA team, if he gets that, then I could see him maybe potentially getting the supermax or sticking around to Sacramento, because at that point, he's not going to turn down that money. Right? That the extra year and all, it's just, he's going to stick around. And, maybe he requests a trade later on, 2 years from now, whatever from now. But if you can get him this offseason and you're the Spurs, I think you got to do it. Whatever you have to give up, outside of Wemby, of course. But whatever you give up, I think you just go get De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is better than every player on the team, outside of Wemby, of course. Right? He would literally be, him and Wemby are, there you go. There's your foundation. There's your stars for now and the future. If Devin Vassell can stay and, he makes sense, right, and kind of let him play now that third option role, I think that he's better in that as that, scorer, shooter, all those things you need. Jeremy Sohan can be that Swiss Army knife guy, especially the season he's having. Still have Chris Paul off the bench. And imagine look what Chris Paul did for SGA. Imagine what he could do for De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox's skill set. He might actually be able to knock Fox up a notch, right? Make him a better playmaker, make him a better just scorer, right? Maybe a better shooter, stuff like that, right? I think if you're the Spurs and you can get De'Aaron Fox, I think you'll get De'Aaron Fox. I think that that's a no-brainer, personally. But as always, this is a discussion, and I pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think if you can get De'Aaron Fox, yes, absolutely go get De'Aaron Fox? Do you think no, stay away from De'Aaron Fox? I love De'Aaron Fox, but he's 27. Right? Like, you're not trading cash, so you don't want to do all that. I understand being in love with your rookie. He's not De'Aaron Fox. Right? Like, your hope is that Stephon Castle in 5 years is De'Aaron Fox. Well, you could get De'Aaron Fox now, right? Like, so to me, it's like if you can get him now and then go get that other piece, and now you're a contender. Now you're contending for championships, maybe even winning a championship. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. I don't know why you would say no to that. Even if you had to give up a Castle or whatever else you had to give up. Because, again, you're hoping Castle turns into a De'Aaron Fox type player. A guy that play defense, do the dirty work, right? Give you 27 a game. It just makes sense. But, again, how you feel, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.